someone who grew up in a slum like any of us. But before I do that, let me first of all recognize some personalities that are with us. We want to recognize our district coordinator, ANC district coordinator, Mr. Pan. We also want to recognize Mr. Perkins. Mr. Perkins is a senior advisor to Mr. Cummings. I also want to recognize my own team, Team Kwekwe. They are around, they are present. We want to recognize the able securities. But most especially, we want to recognize our distinguished platform guest and also our motivational speaker. Thank you for that motivation you have given us. You know, today is a special day for me to introduce to you my own political leader, standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress and the CPP. Mr. Alexander B. Cummings is a businessman. But before he enrolled at becoming a businessman, Mr. Cummings was born in Monrovia at the old government hospital. Maybe by then, some of us, in fact, not even maybe some of us were not born, and some of us don't even know where they had the old government hospital. So Mr. Cummings was born at the old government hospital. Mr. Cummings lived in several areas in Monrovia. You know, we all know, way back when I was growing up, we used to hear more and. You know, when you can't pay rent, you were able to pay this rent and you found somewhere else cheaper than where you were, you have to move to another level. So Mr. Cummings grew up like any one of us. Mr. Cummings lived on Camp Johnson Road. Mr. Cummings lived in Point 4, New Kruta area. Mr. Cummings lived on the airfield, Lapasi. So moving from one place to another is because of the way he grew up. So Mr. Cummings didn't grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth. And I like what our motivational speaker kept telling us, what next. Because of the what next that he had in his mind, he didn't look at himself as somebody who was growing in the slum community, was pushing higher and higher. Mr. Cummings was born onto Mr. Alexander B. Cummings Senior and Mrs. Ayo Cummings. Mr. Cummings' father was a teacher and also a preacher. And I see why Mr. Cummings is a God-fearing person. I work with him, I live with him almost, and I see him as a God-fearing person because of the way he grew up. Mr. Cummings' mother was also a midwife, but also a business woman. So Mr. Cummings is just taking the trend of his parents, a God-fearing person, a business woman who brought to earth somebody who thought that business was also something that he should do. Mr. Cummings graduated from the demonstration school. I said graduated because the demonstration school was an elementary school. I don't know what it is now, but I think it is still an elementary school. So he went to the demonstration school on Clay Street. From there, Mr. Cummings enrolled at the CWA, the College of West Africa. When he graduated from CWA, he went to Cotton University College. After the Cotton University College, in fact, he was awarded a scholarship to go to America and study. So he went to America, studied, and came back to work for his country. And he came back to work with our own LBDR bank. I'm saying these things for you to understand the kind of person he is. Because people usually will say, Mr. Cummings Jack came from America, he came, he won't come be president here. But that's not the person he is. When Mr. Cummings came back to work for his country through the LBDR bank, he again got another scholarship. You know, he's a smart man. He still carries that smartness. Being a smart student, a smart person, people will always award you scholarship. So, and that is leading us to think about what next. Because it is not just about graduating from one level to another. When you graduate from one level, you should think on what next. What next? Always what next. So Mr. Cummings went back to the States to study. And when he went back, we got this 14 years of civil crisis in our country. So Mr. Cummings could not come back. Like many of us were fleeing our country to seek refuge, safe haven in other countries. Mr. Cummings could not come back because we had war in our country. He stayed there, studied, earned his master's, and I don't want to speak plenty of book here today. He earned splendid degrees. He started to work, and he worked in Nigeria. He worked with the Pillsbury Company, where he served in big position, the highest position of that organization. Mr. Cummings later on went back to the States. He worked with Coca-Cola. But besides that, Mr. Cummings didn't just work in Nigeria and America. He also worked in Kenya, the UK, South Africa, and other places across the world. Because of the way our country has been managed, the same thing that is leading me to vie for the senatorial post is what led Mr. Cummings to say, I have done a lot of work in the international community for companies. I want to now go back and give back to my country. Mr. Cummings came back in 2015 or 14, and he expressed his ambition. In 2017, he ran for the presidency in our country. We all said he was new, but we saw the potentials in him, because everybody you talk to will tell you that Mr. Cummings is the right person, but he has just come. So how can you make somebody who has the potential to make your country is what we should be talking right now. Having said that, I want you all to stand. While we are giving hands of applause to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, the senior member of the CPP, to come and speak to the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please have your seat. Thank you very much. Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. Hi. Wonderful, wonderful. Good to be here today. So the platform guests, our district coordinator, our motivational speaker. It will be hard to follow, to come after the motivational speaker. I'm not sure what else I can say to the graduates, to the officials of the ANC and CPP here. Thanks for your presence. Let me acknowledge Roland as well. But particularly I want to acknowledge the incoming senator from Montserrat County. Madam Victoria Kalu Kakwe, please give her a hand. So today I'm very, very happy to be here with you to have a short talk. You know, the most important thing you can do for yourself, which is what, and I'm speaking to the graduates now, what you're doing today is to get an education. Because no matter what kind of education you get, whether it's vocational training, cosmetology, carpentry, being a nurse, whatever it is, that education, that knowledge, nobody can take from you. That education, that knowledge is yours. You know, as Victoria said, I grew up in Point Four and then in Fiamma, and the reason why I had success is primarily because of the education. And so I want to congratulate you, I want to congratulate your parents or anybody who helped you get this education. I want to thank them and thank you for accomplishing this today. Because education is what will transform, is what will change Liberia. So you should feel proud of this, and you should always want to keep learning. Learning never stops. You always want to keep learning, and I encourage you to do that. The other message to you is, one, always put God first. Or if you're Muslim, put Allah first. In everything you do, put God first. Then, whatever you do, do it with integrity, do it with honesty. You know, in our country today, you can do almost anything wrong and you get away with it. That cannot be right. People today, they steal, they commit violence, rape, murder, and they get away with it. We as a country, as a people, you as individuals, that is not acceptable. And you should not demonstrate those kind of behaviors. You want to do everything you do with integrity, with value, with honesty. And I encourage you to do that. You will only get ahead if you're willing to work hard and make sacrifices. I said to the Liberian people, I said to you, our country will not change because we're talking. You know, we go out talking, right, as a people. Our country will not change because we just wish it to change. Our country will only change, your life will only change if you do the work and you make the sacrifice. If you're not prepared to do the work and make the sacrifice, your life will not change, our country will not change. So your education is a good beginning, it's a good starting point, but it will not just end there. You know, they're saying that God help those who help themselves, right? Prayers are important. That's why I say you gotta put God first. But you just put God first and you just pray and you do the work, you make a sacrifice, it will not change. Nothing will change. My other advice to you is, I always say you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and you expect different results. So, you know, if you got a battery radio and the battery run down, but you keep putting the same battery in the radio not work, right? You gotta put a new battery in that radio. And so, if you want things to change in your life, or if we want things to change in Liberia, we gotta do things differently. We can't say, oh, my father did it, my parents did it, or somebody else did it in the past, so that means you keep doing it. And the country will not change, then your life will not change. If you're a student, last semester you made C, this semester you want to make A or B, you gotta study harder, right? You gotta do something different. If you study the same way, your grades will not change. And so, as you think about your future and your life, try things, experiment. If they don't work, do things differently. But keep pushing, never give up. I know things are hard. in Liberia. And it's hard not to sometimes get discouraged. But we as a people and you as individuals, we're strong people, Liberian people. We are resilient, we are tenacious. Despite all the hard time, we fall down, we get up, and we keep going. And I encourage you to do that. When you have a plan for your future, don't already to start a plan for failure. Plan for success. Work towards success. Don't plan for plan B. Excuse me. Don't plan for plan B. Again, your life will only change if you do things different. If you work hard, you make sacrifice, you do things honestly, and you put God or Allah first. That's what we need to do as a country. That's what we need to do as individuals. So let me end by again applauding the founders, the administrators of the school. Let me applaud your parents and all these people who help you to get this education. Most of all, I want everybody here to stand and give the graduates a big hand of applause. Let's clap for them. Thank you. So, congratulations to you. We wish you all the best and success. Remember these messages. Your life is in your hands. The future of Liberia is in your hands. As your lives improve, so will our country. We owe it to you, we in my generation, to work hard to create an environment where you can be successful. We have to hold our government responsible for creating the right environment for you to be successful. You know, I reminded Liberian people that the president or the vice president or the ministers or the legislators, they all get paid. The work they do, they're not doing it for free. They get paid by you and I, by our money, our taxpayers' money. And so we should demand of them that they do the right things, that they create an environment for you to be successful. Because whatever they do, they're supposed to do it. That's what they get paid to do. That's not what we elect them to do. And we have to hold them responsible and accountable. And it's your right to demand that they fix the country, that they stop the stealing, that they punish those who steal. We have to demand that. Otherwise, our country is not changed. And as young people, we owe it to you to create a right environment so you can be successful. But again, thanks to the platform guests, thanks to the founder, thanks to the parents, and most of all, thanks to you for this accomplishment. And God bless you, and God bless Liberia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the Honorable Alexander Benedict Cummings, political leader of the Alternative National Congress, ANC, and Senator Bearer of the collaborative political parties. You listened to his keynote address. I got a whole lot from there. I know at a certain point in time I saw that he was trying to be as simplistic as possible as you can be because he wanted the message to actually go down. And I hope he actually got it. Because he took into consideration, I could tell, the audience he was speaking to. So, now that you guys have gotten skills in cosmetology, interior decoration, to build on what the guest speaker said, you should figure out what to do with your life, and you should try to do it in a more better way. And one thing he said also that we'll not forget is, if for instance, your radio, you try to on your radio, and every time you try to on it, it's not coming on. It could be because it has some battery problem. It's either you change the battery, or maybe if it has a means of connecting it to the current, you connect it. Other than that, you're going to be faced with the same problem. So the idea is that we can't continue to use the same method that created the problem to solve the problem. The problem will not be solved. So that means there is an alternative. And the alternative today and for the future also is the Honorable Alexander Benedict Cummings. And for Mosubaro County, you heard it right. The alternative is our dear mother, our sister, our leader, a senior manager, someone who understands your problem, someone who understands the reality, someone who is well suited, who is very articulate, and to discuss the issues and to bring about some solutions. And that person is no other person but Mrs. Victoria Opui. Thank you. Just before we go to the next item on the agenda here, our pastry students did something